Brilliant. So, hey, Lewis, great to have you on today. And
Yeah,
no, always a pleasure. For those who don't already know you and know of your story, I find that in boxing, everybody has their unique origin story to how they got into boxing and their journey throughout. So, yeah, what's your origin story and how did you get into boxing?
yeah. So mine is not too dissimilar from the generic sort of from a council estate and a group of I think 12, 13 of us, as teenagers, young teenagers, maybe 13, 14, went to the closest boxing gym to us to see who was the toughest and see who could stick it out the longest and things like that. For me, I played football as well at a decent level, just below academy level. So I was taking it pretty serious. And yeah, my main motivator for firstly going down to the boxing gym was to get a bit more fitness for football. And also just have a bit of a social time with my mates. As I said, I think there was anywhere between 12 and 15. I think of us went and started that gym on the same day, so we all went down there. Pretty scruffy, but like friendly, but just being young teenagers from the estate, and yeah, one by one, everyone sort of dropped off. And then there was two of us left, me and another lad, another mate, and we had both had our first fights on the same show, which was fantastic. And we both had a record of 4-1, 3 lost one, and I carried on, and unfortunately he didn't. And then it was down to me on my own. Now I must add, I had a massive contributing factor, I think, with the fact that my brother was training at the same boxing gym. Again, another council estate kid. He was 4 years older than me, but he went down to not for fitness for football, but just to lose weight. My brother was quite overweight as a child, and yeah, he went down to the boxing gym maybe 2 weeks prior to me, and started going to lose a bit of weight. And as I said, we all went down 2 weeks later, and yeah, that was sort of where my boxing journey started. I had no clue it would take me to where it has done, and it's been an amazing journey so far. But yeah, still feel like I've got a lot to give the sport, and yeah, I feel like the best days are still ahead of me.
No, I love that, and I love the modesty as well. In terms of talk us a bit through about like where it's taken you so far and where you'd like to go with boxing altogether.
Yeah, so for me, like just quickly, like I was never the most talented out the group of us. But the mindset thing was massive for me. I was probably mentally the strongest out of 12 of us, and and just had the right attitude. But we can come on to that in a minute. But yeah, so aspirations and where it's taken me. So um, as a kid, we didn't travel. We just, as many council estate children, just families can't afford it, and that's that. So I had two family holidays as a child, and they were both to Blackpool. We got the coach from Colchester to Blackpool, and went to like Butlins and had like a 5 day holiday there. And I had a great time. I didn't know no different. I didn't know everyone went on holiday, went to Spain, went to Turkey, to Greece. I didn't know like all these people done that all the time. But for me, I was happy doing that. To go in Blackpool, and yeah, had a great time. So that's why I think I'm extra grateful for the opportunities boxing has provided, because like especially in the last 4 or 5 years, I've travelled the world with boxing, which is yeah amazing. Like I've never been out of Europe before boxing, let alone let alone some of the places I've been to Tokyo, I've been to America, I've been to Kazakhstan, Russia, Armenia, um, just to name a few, and then obviously your European countries also, more Western European countries. But yeah, I reckon I've been maybe 15, 20 countries through boxing. That's just amazing. And I always try and take a little bit from each city, a bit of culture, and I love to mix with the locals and just take what I can from every situation. I think maybe I'd have had it, if I'd have been fortunate enough maybe to go on those holidays as a child, I might not be as grateful for the opportunities I get now. So it definitely makes you for sure. And yeah, just it's been amazing, the travel side of things. So that's as an amateur boxer for GB boxing, and just before GB as well, I was starting to travel abroad and go to international box cups as well. So but yeah, GB in particular have sent me all over the world, and I'd like to think I've given them a good return as well. I've won major medals, and I won a lot of other tournaments along the way. So it's been a good relationship for us throughout. Um, and then moving forward, so likelihood is I'll be turning pro fairly soon. So yeah, just very excited to get that journey cracking. We won't be rushing things. I'll make sure everything's in place before I make that transition. But yeah, just hopefully, I plan to go on and win titles. Dan Aziz is a great example of how you work your way through the ranks. He's won belts in a traditional fashion of going from Southern area to English to Commonwealth to British to European. He's done very, very well, and I'm not sure my route will be exactly the same. I've got a bit more amateur pedigree than Dan, but what an example of someone who's come through the small hall shows. And I've known Dan for a number of years, and he's a great role model for the vast majority of boxers who aren't as fortunate enough to be on GB or have the opportunities we have, because Dan's starting to reap his rewards for staying consistent, and yeah, it's brilliant to watch.
Absolutely. And on the element of sort of the training side of things, so now you represented Team GB, so you're an elite level boxer. Oh, for somebody who's starting off their boxing journey, or perhaps they've taken a break, want to get back into, but they want to bring themselves to their optimal performance level in terms of health and training wise, what would you recommend in terms of training routines, Monday to Sunday? Like, what would you recommend? Running from the training in the gym? What advice would you give?
Well, obviously, it's dependent on the availability they have. So I'm fortunate enough I get to do this full time, which is amazing. Which means I have time to do 3 sessions a day. 5-6 days a week. But unfortunately, again, for the masses out there, they're not in that position. Now, there's no excuse why you can't maybe do 2 sessions a day, one before, one after work, depending on how time consuming work is. But when I did when I transitioned from college into work before I got on GB, when I was around 18, 19, I would get up. I think I'd start working. I think I'd do a 9 till 6 job I was doing, and I'd get up around 6:30. I'd go to bike to the gym, do either a cardio or a S&C session, and then go the bike straight to work, and then do my shift, and then go to the boxing club in the evening. Now that will be the routine for the majority, I believe, because obviously most boxing gyms are open in the evenings. But yeah, the main thing is find that balance in training. Now, the most important thing about boxing is boxing training. So I wouldn't substitute a boxing session for conditioning, whether that be cardio or strength training. But just to saying that, it's very important to find a balance and also do that strength training and do them conditioning runs. If you can't run on the bike, if you can't bike on the rower, find a conditioning tool that works for you and challenges you. But yeah, it's just.
Sorry, what type of distances were you doing? So you said you cycled to the gym, cycle from the gym to work,
Yeah.
and then obviously you said either doing some cardio or S&C in the gym that day. What type of cycle, like how many miles were you doing on the bike? And then,
Well, I think I'd say it's 3 miles to the gym from me. So 3 miles to the gym from home, and then maybe a mile from the gym to work, and then probably 2 miles to get back home again. So straight away, you're doing 6 miles on the push bike there, which is brilliant, because like you're doing cardio without even realizing it. You're only really getting from A to B. And to be honest, I've never really thought about that, but I was doing at least 6 miles on the bike every single morning. Obviously, there's mornings when it actually be like absolutely chucking it down, you don't do it, but where you can get out on your push bike sort of thing. And then the session in the morning would be time dependent on again how early you can do it. But I'd normally aim to have at least like an hour in the gym, and that can include like a warm up and a cool down, and then smash a little strength session out, or do an actual more focused cardio session in the gym.
Absolutely. And cardio, would that be like rowing machine, treadmill, the step machine? Anyone in particular you prefer?
Yeah, so I tend to run a fair bit. That would be my primary source. But obviously, people do pick up injuries running, so you know, being on the bike is a bit less strenuous on the knees. And then sometimes people struggle with that, so you can get on the rower. There's always different sort of things to do. I mean, the best sort of alternative if your body's struggling, I think, is swimming. And I'm not a strong swimmer either, so it challenges me extra hard in that respect. But it's not very, you know, weight bearing on the body, so you know, your body shouldn't be struggling too much. You shouldn't pick up too many niggles from doing your swim. So and just boxing specific, you know, we're only doing, as an amateur, you're only doing 3-3, so you don't need to be doing really long sessions. It'd be more interval based sessions, you know, like 3 minutes on, 1 minute off, 1 minute off, to mimic a round, or 4 minutes on, 1.5 minutes off, or 2 minutes on, 30 seconds off, just mimicking that stop start sort of time, and maybe aiming for around, I reckon, 25 to 35 minutes of work. Yeah, max 35 minutes of work, including the rest as well. So it doesn't need to be really long sessions, because we're not boxing for a long time. We need to be high intensity, you know, high intensity, fast paced, and a heart rate's going to be high for that time. It's not going to be slow and steady like a steady run. You can do that maybe once a week, but I wouldn't be spending all your cardio sessions doing long, steady plods, you know, in whatever route or whatever way you do that cardio session.
Yeah, okay, that's great. And so that's sort of the training side covered. Like, when, in terms of obviously just cautious of time, so I'll get through this bit quickly. In terms of the mindset, so I've found that from sort of studying boxers and having boxed myself, I find there's like 12 key attributes that lead to success, that helps boxers in the ring but outside. I just want to get your take on these 12, and to see if which ones stand out to you, if any. So the 12 principles are, the first one I see is faith. And you know, a lot of boxers, they are strong in their faith, but even for those who aren't religious, self-belief, you know, faith is almost a form of belief, and believing in yourself, believing in your team is fundamental to success. Number 2 is looking at vision, having something to aim at and work towards. So as you said, there was 12 of you, you started, you had a vision, you all started together, and it's like, who's going to be the toughest, who's going to be able to outlast the other. 3 is teamwork. So although boxing's a lonely sport, it's only you in the ring, but there's your coaches, your sparring partners, and your team who's going to help prepare you for the fight. Number 4 is focus, being able to sort of focus in the ring, but also focus, you know, throughout on your journey, on the important things that matter. 5, hard work and dedication. As Floyd Mayweather says, you know, it's hard work and dedication is what he puts a lot of his success towards. 6 is discipline, because you know, I believe that discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. As Mike Tyson once said, discipline is doing what you hate but doing it like you love it. 7, the will to win, is in having that true desire and that passion to want to win, to want to overcome beat your opponent. Similar to, as Muhammad Ali used to say, sometimes the guy with the better, stronger will beat the person with more skill, because when the will outdoes the skill, it's possible. 8 is resilience, because you're going to face challenges, you're going to take hits and setbacks, and it's how you deal with those setbacks and keep moving forward. 9, I find, is confidence, because as a fighter becomes more confident in their abilities, they're able to showcase, and they're a bit more relaxed, and they're able to really put their skills into play. 10 is respect, because once you start to first having respect for yourself in terms of your routine, what you're supposed to be doing, but also respecting your opponent, not overlooking an opponent because of their resume, but just showing respect to everybody you step in the ring with. 11, humility, having an attitude of gratitude and being coachable and learning. And 12, legacy, something whereby, you know, when it's all said and done, what you've done, your journey throughout, the ups and the downs. And so those are 12 components that I find all champions or fighters will have to some degree. Out of those 12 principles, which like 1, 2, or 3 sort of stand out the most to you and have supported you in your successes so far?
I mean, the hard work, dedication is definitely one. There's no substitute for that. You have to be willing to put it in to get the rewards. So that's a key one. I think the humility and respect. I think boxing, there's no escape. You know, whether you don't have that when you walk into the gym, you will find that by the time you leave the gym. Because you know you leave your ego at the door when you enter the boxing gym, and you're seeing so many like elite athletes training with complete novices in the boxing gym. Because when you're in that boxing gym, you're all there for one thing. I don't really feel like you'd find that in many other sports as much as often as common as you find it in the boxing gym. So yeah, them two are other ones. And I just think that, to be honest, that they are very well-rounded points you make. The legacy is a bit is sort of, I mean, it is in your control, but I wouldn't focus on the legacy. I'd focus on, you know, the journey sort of thing, rather than the destination of where you want to be, or what your name to where you want your name to be. I think for me, I'd counteract the legacy with how the legacy of how you're sort of you're thought of as an individual post career. Not necessarily your wins and things like that. And obviously, from a sports point of view, that's brilliant. But how you're considered, you know, did you leave a positive impact on someone's life? When people speak about you in any social setting, do they speak highly of you, or do they speak behind your back, you know, negatively? So that's another thing. And then if I was going to add anything, may I?
Yeah, please. That was actually my next question. So I'm glad you got it.
Yeah. So the big thing for me over the last couple of years is to enjoy the journey a bit more. You know, you don't mention really enjoyment factor of it, and I know, yeah, there's not much enjoyment in absolutely battering your body, you know, day in day out and beating yourself, but yeah, you have to try and enjoy the journey, because it's a quite short one in boxing. Obviously I'm in the middle of it now, but from what I hear and even feeling that it's quite a short journey. So, but a massive part of your life. But so you got to try and enjoy the journey a little bit more, and that was a big thing for me, as I said, the last couple of years. And you know, there's days where you can't, and it's tough. But try and with having that awareness, I think will make you sort of try and enjoy a little bit more. You obviously put teamwork, just surrounding yourself with positive people is a massive thing, because I've seen people just go down the wrong paths, from grassroots all the way through to elite level, just from hanging around with the wrong people, which is really sad to see, because you can be the most talented person in the room, but if you haven't got that desire within you, plus you've got negative people around you, then it's just a recipe for disaster. And then finally, and this does cross over with some of the points, just being consistent. Obviously, discipline, it crosses over with that, and it crosses over with hard work, but you've got to be disciplined, because boxing is, it's pretty 24/7, rather than your average 9 to 5. So yeah, you have to be very disciplined if you want to make it to the top.
Amazing.
And I'm not there yet, but I plan to be. And I'm consistent, and yeah, I think that consistency will see me through, because I think people drop off. But yeah, I plan to stay strong and get to the top.
Definitely, no, I have no doubt about it. And so, lastly, for those who, thanks for sharing and all these insights. For those who want to follow your journey or, want to support you, what's the best way that they can sort of follow your journey or show support towards you?
Um, I guess the obvious one is just follow my socials. So um, Instagram is Lewis J Richardson underscore, LinkedIn Lewis Richardson, Twitter Lewis J Rich, and Facebook. I've obviously got a personal one and a professional one, Lewis Richardson Team to Be Boxer, I think, for Facebook. But yeah, I just be nice to obviously get people behind me and follow the journey. Obviously representing the country now for like 4 or 5 years and making that transition over, we'll see over what period of time, but it will be sooner rather than later into professional ranks. So yeah, any support is appreciated.
Amazing.
And just quickly, so you touched upon, obviously I've got a master's degree as well, but I don't think I'd have achieved what I've achieved educational wise if I hadn't put myself in the boxing gym at a young age, because the skills that you learn in the boxing gym are so transferable into real life settings or other life settings. So yeah, it pays dividends to your personal and professional career, I believe, outside the ring as well as inside.
Amazing. So there we have it. You heard it here first. If you want to get a master's, get in the boxing gym and start training. Brilliant. But yeah, thanks again for your time, Lewis. That's amazing. And yeah, wish you all the best on your journey.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Cheers. Appreciate that.